Hello everyone, welcome to another video, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the underrated rivalry between the Million Dollar Man Ted DiBiase and the Macho Man Randy Savage that took place throughout the spring and the summer of 1988. Now, this was an underrated rivalry, a really great rivalry with two tremendous wrestlers, obviously Randy Savage and Ted DiBiase I'm referring to. These two had so many great matches throughout the year of 1988, and they don't really get the recognition that they deserve. I feel as if, they're not talked about as much by old school wrestling fans. But ever since I've been watching these two wrestle each other back in the day, I always felt that they had great chemistry with one another, did Savage and DiBiase. And this video is just going to talk about some of the matches that they had throughout their rivalry way back in the day in 1988. So the first time I ever saw the Macho Man Randy Savage and the Million Dollar Man Ted DiBiase wrestle was on an episode of Saturday Night's Main Event, a regular one-on-one match between the two. In that match, it was a pretty good television match. Of course, DiBiase would have Andre the Giant in his corner, and the Macho Man would have Miss Elizabeth in his corner. And being that Savage was the babyface, of course, he was the underdog here because DiBiase had the humongous and enormous Andre in his corner, as well as the bodyguard Virgil. So DiBiase had an unfair advantage in this matchup. And I remind you, this was a couple of weeks before WrestleMania 4, before the championship tournament that they had. So where they had the finals, did Savage and DiBiase. I'm going to be talking about that in a little bit here as we continue on with this video. So this matchup here on Saturday Night's Main Event, pretty good television match. We seen Savage and DiBiase, why exactly they had good chemistry with one another. DiBiase was a master at selling the offense that Randy Savage was throwing at him. And Randy Savage was also a pro at selling the beating that DiBiase and an interfering Virgil and Andre the Giant were putting up against him by interfering in this matchup. I mean, Andre and Virgil were so hated, as well as DiBiase. And somewhere throughout the match, we saw Miss Elizabeth being talked to by the Macho Man Randy Savage, and she goes backstage. And who does she bring out with her? She brings out the immortal Hulk Hogan. She brings out the immortal Hulk Hogan, and the immortal Hulk Hogan is now in the corner of the Macho Man Randy Savage. Anyway, the match ends up in a disqualification when Andre interferes. Also throughout the match, Virgil was dejected at ringside, from ringside, when he delivered a cheap shot to the Macho Man. I do remember that happening somewhere in the match. And then you would see the beatdown of they try to beat Randy down, but Hogan is there to even the odds. And then Hogan, Macho Man, and Miss Elizabeth, they all celebrate as they fight off the heels. And then there you see them celebrating in the ring in a great moment on Saturday Night's Main Event. And unbeknownst to a lot of WWF fans, WrestleMania 4, a couple of weeks later, this match between the Macho Man Randy Savage and the Million Dollar Man would once again happen in the tournament finals, where Savage and DiBiase would clash one more time. This time the stakes are much higher for the undisputed WWF Championship. And Savage and DiBiase, after so many matches, DiBiase had previously beaten 3 opponents. Savage had beaten 3 opponents, and DiBiase had only defeated 2 opponents in order to get to the finals. Anyway, the finals here, beaten down Savage. He showed exactly why he had endurance, strength, stamina, and he overcame all the odds. Virgil sorry, not Virgil, Andre tried to interfere in the match by cheap shotting the Macho Man. But Hulkamania was in Randy Savage's corner. And while the referee wasn't looking, while the ref was distracted by Andre, Hulk Hogan took advantage of that and he walloped DiBiase with a steel chair while the referee wasn't watching. And then the Macho Man Randy Savage would drop the high flying elbow from the top rope and pin the $1 Million Man to become the undisputed WWF champion. First time ever in the history of the WWF, someone had defeated not one, not two, not three, but four opponents in one day to capture the undisputed WWF championship. And the Macho Man indeed earned that accolade, and him and Miss Elizabeth celebrated while he hoisted Elizabeth up on his shoulders and she held the undisputed WWF championship in her arms with tears of joy, with Hulk Hogan looking on and celebrating with them. What a great WrestleMania moment right here. Rest in peace to all three of them. Rest in peace to Andre the Giant and Virgil as well. And just a great WrestleMania moment here. The Macho Man getting his just due and becomes the undisputed World Wrestling Federation champion at WrestleMania 4. Now, the rivalry with DiBiase and Savage would continue on. They would go on to have several house show matches from March all the way to throughout the summer of 1988. But one match notably that gained popularity and became famous was a certain matchup that they had in June of 1988 at Madison Square Garden. And I'm talking about a steel cage match for the WWF Championship. The Macho Man Randy Savage taking on the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. And DiBiase, of course, would have Virgil in his corner. And the way these guys were going at it in a cage, they turned up the intensity to a next level. And even better than what we got previously on Saturday night's main event and previously at WrestleMania 4. And also previously from the house show matches. They turned it up a notch here. And DiBiase was just selling the offense even better this time for Randy. And Randy was also selling DiBiase's offense. These guys played so great off one another. They really had good chemistry. And the way they were selling each other's moves was just incredible and amazing. Two great veterans and with a great work rate as far as I'm concerned, being a fan. All right. So then from there, we have this steel cage match here on Madison Square Garden, June of 1988. And in the closing moments of the match, right before the match ended, we would see a fan climb up on the cage, trying to go after DiBiase and Virgil. But Virgil, I think, was fighting off the fan, if I remember correctly, and so was the Macho Man. Because you do not know what you're getting yourself into. Once fans start trying to get into the ring, you know it'll be dangerous. It's probably dangerous for everyone involved, you know? So it's not really a safe haven for you to take any chances. And who knows what the hell that fan could have done. Anyhow, the fan gets off. Security subdues the fan and pulls him off of the cage. And the Macho Man, at some point when he was up there, he banged Virgil and DiBiase's skulls together. And then he climbs out in a really good steel cage match, and he retains the WWF Championship. Probably the best championship cage match I have ever seen up to that point in 1988 when I watched that. And this all happened at a house show. Yeah, so isn't that something amazing? Yeah, Randy Savage retains the WWF title. Now, the culmination of this rivalry between the Macho Man and DiBiase would culminate at SummerSlam 1988. So at SummerSlam 1988, we had where the Mega Powers meet the Mega Bucks. That is Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man Randy Savage taking on the eighth wonder of the world, Andre the Giant, and the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, in a mega blockbuster tag team match. Oh my gosh, it doesn't get any better than this around this time in 1988. So, somewhere along the line, we would see Andre attack the Macho Man during a special interview, choking him and causing him to select Hulk Hogan as his tag team partner. And that would set up your SummerSlam match with Andre and DiBiase against Hogan and Savage with Miss Elizabeth in their corner. This matchup here also had a special stipulation. Special guest referee Jesse the Body Ventura was also involved. So now this matchup here at SummerSlam 88, it was a really good, solid tag team match. I mean, at that point, Andre couldn't do all that much in the ring. So as far as the heels go, the workload was left on DiBiase. Andre did his little power moves that he could do, like, his chops, his choke, his butt splash in the corner. I remember the butt splash he gave to Randy. Oh my, it looks so devastating to this day every time you go back and watch it. So, Andre did his thing, his limited move set, and DiBiase was in there bumping around for Hogan, bumping around for the Macho Man. The end came when Andre and DiBiase thought they had the match won, and then towards the end of the match, we would see Miss Elizabeth climb into the ring, and she would remove her skirt, distracting Andre and distracting DiBiase. And with that distraction, they would go after Andre and DiBiase. The Macho Man would do a double axe handle off the top rope and send Andre out of the ring. And then he would deliver the flying elbow to the $1 Million Man. And then Hogan would drop the leg on the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and get the pin. So your winners, Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man Randy Savage, the Mega Powers defeated the Mega Bucks here in this matchup at SummerSlam 1988. So now the rivalry between the Macho Man Randy Savage and the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase had officially ended. They would go on to have several house show matches as well throughout the month of September, but I believe after that it kind of fizzled down, and they never really worked that much with each other going forward. As we all know, for the future, at the beginning of 1989, the Macho Man Randy Savage would turn heel, and him and Hulk Hogan, his partner, the Mega Powers, would split. All because Hogan had lust in his eyes for Miss Elizabeth. Yeah, we all know how that went as we approach the early months of 1989. But this video was just to show you guys about the rivalry between the $1 Million Man and the Macho Man Randy Savage. Two of the best workers ever, and just an underrated rivalry. All right, everyone, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the near future for another video. All right, take care, everyone. Peace.